Hello and welcome to Overview Overwatch. This is the channel where I get to sit down with members of the Overwatch community and pick their brains about their experiences inside of it. So today I'm joined by Natalie, who is the owner of Shoes Money Crew, and John, the team manager. Now they're both joining me on audio only, so that is why you just get to look at me for the extent of this video. So, Natalie and John here, could you please tell me a little bit about your roles in the team and how it works?
Short said, I do own the team, and then I deal with anything that is not directly the team. That is social media, content, branding, graphics, and anything of that sort. Contracts, God knows what else. And then John deals with John things.
Yeah, I obviously everything else mainly to do with the team, its performance, oversee roster changes, communicate with Blizzard, make sure people are here on time, showing up, being punctual, making sure the kind of environment, mental, and everything is going well and practice is going decently, book scrims, that sort of thing. Just everything directly related to the team and its performance.
Yeah, you're kind of taking the more traditional kind of what most people would assume is the team manager
Yeah.
role, that sort of things. Yeah, brilliant. Okay,
Yeah.
so before we go any further, then John, I need to know who your main is.
I was a former player on SMC for a few years before I became the team manager. I was a main support player, so I played Lucio mainly, Brig and Mercy as well. Bit of
Okay,
Lab.
you are the third team manager who's a goddamn Lucio main. Okay, I just want to put that out. There must be something, some correlation here with it. I don't know. Okay, what about yourself, Natalie? What would you say your main is?
Well, I used to play as well.
Okay.
Back ages ago, back before I originally became the team manager of SMC and Clockwork Vendetta, I used to play, but I played Brig, so I
Okay.
hated Lucio.
Yeah, this is it. This is the thing with main supports, and we were chatting to Captain Prash last on Wednesday,
The goat.
and it was like you're either a Mercy Brig player or you're a Lucio player. There seems to be no kind of crossover
Nah, I
really at
was
all.
no. I was someone who liked like all of it together, the whole
Really?
package, not
Okay.
one or the other.
Interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. So, circling back then to your Lucio, in terms of balance, a lot of people seem to think he's in a good spot right now. What do you think?
I think he's absolutely broken. Like low key broken. I don't know if it's him or if it's the rest of the game that just makes it clear that his utility is absolutely needed. He's been
Mm,
in literally every meta since Overwatch 2 came out. Every like hard meta. He's sometimes not been played in some niche
yeah.
things like Ana Zen stuff,
Yeah.
but otherwise it's been very hard Lucio. But in terms of balance, I haven't played the game much recently. I've been very busy, but um, when it comes to game balance in general, even in Overwatch 1, my philosophy was just doesn't matter at all what the meta is. Just get good at it. Just your complaints and stuff won't really change what the game balance is going to be. The best you can do and the best thing you can do with all the passion you have for the game is get better at it. And it doesn't matter what the game balance is like right now.
It's an interesting kind of philosophy for it, actually. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with it in that sense as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it feels like players make a lot of excuses when it comes to game balance. Something's broken, so you can't play better, or things like that. And it
yeah,
just gives them a reason to get annoyed, and it didn't help me at all.
fair, sure. Brig is not someone we've really seen too much of outside of like the Jotes meta. So, Natalie, do you
Yeah.
think there's potentially a bit of balance work needed there?
I'm gonna be fully honest and say I don't play Overwatch anymore.
Okay,
I've got no clue.
fair enough. I mean, look, I appreciate the honesty on it. Um, yeah, I think personally, I think she could definitely do with a little bit more prevalence in it. But yeah, I mean, maybe give her a stun back. I don't know. There's a lot
Hot
of people
take.
complaining about that now at the moment, but yeah. Okay, so moving on then to Shoes Money Crew here. You guys clinched the last spot into the tournament from your group, um, but unfortunately, you guys were knocked out. You had a pretty tough run, I think, in the tournament stage of it. Could you tell us a little bit about how the experience was for your team, and did you meet your expectations coming into Run It Back, or did you feel you were a little bit let down, maybe?
It was kind of rough the whole like time we spent coming up to the tournament in a way where we You know when you have an exam due in a long way away, where 6 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now, and you just kind of leave it all till the last minute. We kind of ended up doing something similar to that, where we ended up making like a roster change very like late in the cycle, in the like break between the contenders tournaments, and we didn't have a lot of practice with the whole roster. And then coming into the tournament, probably talk about this later, but we ended up having to swap our like tank around as well. Uh, on top of that, this groups were not very well seeded, honestly. They did the way they seeded it, the groups was a bit lopsided compared to what normal just sports tournaments do with groups. And I mean, as it stands now in the current tournament, there hasn't been a single Group B team to beat a Group A team yet, and we're now in the final two matches.
Yeah.
So that kind of says a lot about it. And then we managed to get into the bracket where we played against another two teams from our group again,
Yeah. Yeah.
who we'd already lost to twice. So
Yeah,
lo and
no,
behold, we lost them again.
it was tough. Definitely tough kind of seeding in terms of the tournament as well. You touched
Yeah,
on it there just in that a little bit, but you fielded Holy Pig. I hope I'm saying that right.
yeah.
Traditionally would have been a DPS player, put onto the tank role. So was this a product of having Twolz be in the Saudi E League, or was it maybe something that?
That's definitely something that triggered it. What happened was on our first day, we kind of got upset by Shakehold, and we were not playing well at all. We were not really on our game, and Tools was his team kind of had a compulsory scrim amount, right? A compulsory amount of time that he had to spend practicing with that team on top of our team, who wanted to practice quite a lot, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had 2 to 3 matches a day when the round robin was going on. So that was obviously a lot for him. It was a lot of stress. He was in a very strange country he's never been to before. No offense to Saudi Arabia, but it was a very uncomfortable situation for him where he basically withdrew himself from playing,
Okay.
understandably. And
Yeah.
our main tank player was banned for the first 3 days. His ban was undone, yeah, the day after our first 3 matches. So we didn't really have another option other than to put him on, and he honestly helped the environment quite a lot. He's a very high tempo, good-willed, sort of fun player to play with, and he keeps the environment up, and he talks a lot, which is helpful for a tank.
Yeah.
But this season, players are pretty satisfied in a way with how they improved individually. There was a lot of individual improvement. How a lot of our players went from mostly mechanical, very ranked-ish style players to people who thought a lot more about how they played the game, and they all noticed a lot of improvement in their teamwork, in their macro knowledge, things like that. And people are very satisfied about that progress. But yeah, naturally our placement was a bit disappointing.
Yeah. Okay.
You
So
have to give some creds to. I'm not sure if you know, and I'm not sure if the public really knows, but we have a coach from China called M3, and he deserves a little bit of credits there.
okay.
Very good coach.
Yeah. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
That's a John question.
So we used to have a not a player who lived in China, but he was from China, and he knew a coach for who was in Contenders China, and that scene is naturally kind of fading a bit. And he liked a lot of our players, and he wanted to help out every now and then. This is back in the Jungle Green meta,
Okay.
and then he kind of just stuck around after that meta. And in this Contenders tournament, he's actually put an obscene amount of work in, and the players love him, and he's just a really nice person to be around, and he's helped people. Even despite the language barrier, he's also got a lot better at English while he's been with us. But despite the language barrier, he's helped everyone so much in the ways they want to improve.
Brilliant. And the name on that was M3. You said, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Big shout out to M3 on that. Thinking back a little bit, then, Shoes Money Crew has been. It's been around the block, you know. If I'm right in saying it was 2018, team known as That's a Disband. That was sort of the kind of the starting point for Shoes Money Crew. But Natalie, you weren't the owner back then. You kind of had your roots elsewhere. Could you tell us a little bit about how you found yourself in this position?
So I started in 2018 with a OD team called Ex Nihilo. Yeah, that's ages ago. I started there, and I was playing at the same time for this Italian small org. That was just like it was just for fun, right? And one thing came to another, and I ended up joining Clockwork Vendetta back in the days, the one trick team.
Yes.
If I
Um,
remember correctly,
yeah.
a previous player that played for my crew in 2020, start of like summer 2020, he contacted me saying they needed help, just like a manager to like help out.
That's when you were on the Ultimates, no?
Yeah, I was on the Ultimates, which was an Saudi Arabian org that I worked with like off and on for a very long time for their like Saudi tournaments. Um, and then he contacted me, and they just needed some help, and one thing led to another, and then suddenly we got a full brand, and we're doing streams, and we got a content team, and it was all very kind of just all everything just happened.
Just kind
Very
of
fun.
fell into your lap in a little sense. I want to just go back a little bit talking about Clockwork Vendetta because for me personally, Clockwork Vendetta were probably one of my favorite teams to watch ever. Could you just tell us a little bit about what kind of that experience was like?
I mean, I came into Clockwork Vendetta very inexperienced. Like, full honestly, I was full experienced. I had no clue what I was doing whatsoever. I came in, I didn't know anyone in the tier 2 scene at all. I only knew my tier 3 buddies, and we were playing around like 4-3 in ranked and just chilling. And I came in and I had nothing, no clue, and I met a few people. I don't know if you remember who Kendar is.
Doesn't ring a bell for me.
You remember who Kendar is, John?
It rings a bell, but not a very big one.
At least he helped me get into the scene. And Clockwork Vendetta, like when I joined, they were in the between of should we stay as a one trick team or should we like move away from that? And then things happened, and they wanted to keep it as a one trick team, so they kind of just ended it all, like as like a legacy.
I
Like
see.
this was Clockwork Vendetta.
Yeah, and I
You
mean,
still remember Clockwork Vendetta as
like
that team, right?
exactly, like what a legacy. I mean, again, like I said, easily my favorite team I've ever watched. I just to go on a bit of a tangent here. I distinctly remember one map. I couldn't tell you who it was against. But it was on Lijiang Tower Control Center, I think, and I just because obviously the comp was built around this whole idea of you're denying space so much, like with the blizzard and the molten core and the bongo and everything.
The thing where every character on your team places something on the ground and the enemy can't walk there anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
It's really fun to play against.
And I can only imagine what it was like to play against. But I just remember seeing the point just completely covered, just from head to toe, just covered. It's just one of those sites that when I hear Clockwork Vendetta, I just immediately think of them, of that. Okay, so what about yourself, John? Could you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the scene?
Well, I was just kind of a random quick play warrior up until 2018 as well. And I just played casually with my friends all the time. And then one day in 2018, I think the middle of it, like July-ish, my friend just said, "Yo, my group of my friends want to play for fun. We need a flex support player. I know you play Zen, and do you want to just come play with us?" And that just turned into me thinking, "Holy fuck, this is fun! Like this is so much fun." And I just ended up like tryharding a lot, and then I eventually managed the team. Was trying really hard, and then just ended up making a team that was more tryhardy, and then that kind of just eventually went up and up and up and up into more and more teams, and then they got better and better into tier 3, into higher tier 3, and then got into trials, and then SMC gave me a trial in 2020, like March-ish. And their original pick, which was I think Chalky Milk, he declined to stay on Clockwork Vendetta, ironically. And so they gave me the offer, and I've been here ever since. I can't get out.
You're on the ride now. That's it.
It's nearly 1,000 days. I think it's over 1,000 days at this point.
Wow. So, Natalie, I'm going to go to you with this one then. SMC also dabbled a bit with the NA scene last year. Could you talk to me a little bit about how that came to be?
So for SMC, what it very much was in 2020 and 2021, it was we wanted to bring a heartwarming community together. And we realized quite quickly that we wouldn't be able to do this to the extent we want to unless we have something in NA as well. And hence that, we're like, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. We were lucky enough to get some amazing players. They were all super, super, super nice, and some amazing staff. Urso and a coach called Wadi. Both of them were just lovely. We were lucky enough to have them as a team for a little bit of time. Sadly, they didn't make it to contenders, so we didn't actually end up getting a spot there. But the time we did get to spend there was amazing. I would love for SMC to dabble back into NA
That
rather
was
soon.
yeah, that was going to be my next question. Would you go back then? Yeah.
So as of right now, and the plans that are right now, there's a very high chance we'll dabble back into NA, but most likely not in Overwatch.
Interesting. Okay. Is that all the teaser I'm going to get, or is there more information out there?
For now.
For now. Okay, perfect. All right. I'll take that. I'll take that. Okay, John, we'll circle back to you here again. In terms of Overwatch and EU, then what are your roster plans for the future of this team?
After the tournament, so like I said before, the players, like, we were naturally a bit disappointed with our placement, but with the progress that we made together, and we kind of had a slump for a little while mid tournament, and people's ability to kind of bring that back and turn that into a good environment is something that everyone's pretty happy with. Is something that people always need on their team. Otherwise, you're just fucked as soon as your team, like, environment starts
Yeah.
to drag down or you get upset, things like that. But people are very happy with the environment and the progress that we made, and we want to keep doing that. Basically, we feel like we've made a lot of progress, and we will be a much, much, much stronger team in the future when people have learned more about the macro of the game and worked on their weaknesses a lot. So, as for tools, I'm not sure. He seems to be kind of intent on having a little break. I'm not super certain on what we're going to do in that regard. But as far as I'm aware right now, the rest of the team, we're pretty intent on staying together and continuing to practice together.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can do in the new year. In terms of contenders, contenders runs and things like that. So Natalie, just again thinking of contenders and again specifically EU contenders for yourself. Do you think there's merit to the idea of Blizzard reinstating European admins into EU contenders? Because I know at the moment I've heard from other interviewees that I've had that it's ran out of NA. So what are your thoughts on possibly reinstating the European admins?
So, okay, before I say anything now, just know that the admins we currently have are wonderful people. They are working their asses off to do their best all the time. It just doesn't work. It just does not work. Like, we have had, I remember a time in probably end of 2020 where we had an admin called Tony, and this guy, he would respond to me at 2 a.m. I'm having roster problems. This is not going. I can't get the shit to work. How do I sign this? Like, it is. I feel like the admins we have, they don't have that passion, that energy, that extra step. They're not willing to
Okay.
take that extra
Yeah.
step to do their job better, to make the scene better. And that is something that we are actively missing. I know there is people out there that are more than capable of being an admin, more than capable of taking that extra step. Like, maybe they don't have a degree in it, or maybe they never had a job like that before, but they are more than capable of doing that. And having someone that is not only in your region, knows your region, that is very important, because Overwatch contenders and Overwatch Open Division, they are special. They have their stuff and they like their stuff their way. If you don't know that, you're gonna run into issues.
Okay.
But I think it would benefit us a lot to have European admins, maybe just even one, or someone that works European time.
Is this just you pitching yourself forward?
I don't want to be an admin.
Okay, so you don't want to be an admin then, Natalie. What are your personal goals for the future?
I have zero clue. No, I study art direction, which is kind of graphic design and management in the same pot. Something along those lines. I like doing creative stuff and I like managing things. That's honestly about it. I run, so I have SMC now, and then I run a store. Like I'm a manager for a store on the side, and then I do some collegiate as well on the side, some graphics for a collegiate.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. What about yourself, John?
Um, honestly, same. No idea. I think given where I live right now and just how much I enjoy the place I live in, it's a very rural area in like the Highlands of Scotland, and I kind of want to explore my own village, my own area a lot more, and have at least a serious hobby slash side gig where I'm working in the outdoors and just trying to make the area I live in a better place to be. In the meantime, I'm just starting up a degree in business management in German,
Oh, brilliant.
and again, hopefully, I'll be improving those things as well and seeing where that leads me. Also renovating my house currently, which I'd also like to at some point let out to people who are passing by the area and give them a good experience. When it comes to esports, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of just doing the business degree alongside doing this as a hobby to kind of keep my foot in the door,
Yeah.
see what opportunities arise, and then see if there's anything I can make of that. But for now, there's no major plans per se, other than just making my house livable. But yeah,
Very good. Do either of you guys have any final words? Don't all jump
can I
out
think
once.
about that?
Yeah.
Mm,
I don't know. I hope I kind of miss when the community was like it was in 2020 and 2021. I hope those people with passion gets somewhere to voice themselves again. That is like, I think that's the only thing I miss about Overwatch.
Well, yeah, I think that's very valid. Very valid. Okay, guys. We're going to leave it there on that one. Thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Overview Overwatch. This should be going live on Sunday at 6, hopefully, fingers crossed. So you can join us again next Sunday for another episode. Okay, take care.